John Gotti ruled New York for years, the man they called the Teflon Don, a mob boss who walked out of courtroom after courtroom untouched, untouchable. At least, that's what everyone believed, but every empire has a moment when the walls begin to crack, and for John Gotti, that moment came from the man who stood closest to him. December 16th, 1985. Outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan, the boss of the Gambino crime family stepped into the cold night air. Paul Castellano had ruled the most powerful Mafia family in America. But power in the Mafia rarely lasts forever. Across the street, men waited in silence, coats pulled tight, hands hidden, watching, waiting. Within seconds, gunmen stepped forward. Shots echoed through the street, and the boss of bosses collapsed onto the pavement. The hit shocked New York, but the message was clear. The Gambino family had a new leader, John Gotti. But the hit didn't just kill a mob boss. It sent a shockwave through the entire American Mafia. For decades, the rules had been clear. You didn't kill a boss without permission from the commission. But John Gotti had ignored that rule. He had taken power by force, and while the streets respected him for it, federal investigators now had a reason to watch him closer than ever before. Unlike the old generation of Mafia bosses, John Gotti didn't hide. He embraced the spotlight, tailored suits, perfect hair, reporters waiting outside courtrooms. Every trial became a spectacle, and somehow, he kept winning. Case after case collapsed. Witnesses vanished. Jurors walked away unconvinced. The media gave him a name that would follow him forever, the Teflon Don, because nothing ever seemed to stick. For a while, it seemed like John Gotti had beaten the system. By the late 1980s, John Gotti had become one of the most famous criminals in America. Television cameras followed him. Newspapers printed his name on front pages. He wasn't just a mob boss anymore. He was a symbol. To some, he was a folk hero. To federal prosecutors, he was the most dangerous organized crime figure in the country, and they were determined to bring him down. But inside the Gambino family, things were beginning to change. Federal investigators had been watching for years, listening, recording, building a case piece by piece, and sitting beside Gotti during many of those conversations was his underboss, Salvatore Gravano, known on the streets as Sammy the Bull. Gravano had helped Gotti rise to power, but now the government had something stronger than loyalty, evidence, and a choice. Spend the rest of his life in prison, or testify. Sammy the Bull made his decision, and when he spoke, the entire empire began to crumble. When Sammy Gravano finally agreed to cooperate, the case against Gotti changed overnight. For the first time, prosecutors had an insider, someone who had sat in the same rooms, heard the same conversations, witnessed the same crimes. Gravano didn't just testify. He described murders, extortion, the inner workings of the Gambino family, and with every word he spoke, the myth of the untouchable boss began to collapse. The trial that followed would become one of the most important mafia cases in American history. For years, John Gotti had defeated every charge brought against him. But this time was different. Federal prosecutors had surveillance tapes, witnesses, and the testimony of the man who knew the Gambino family best, Sammy Gravano. Inside the courtroom, the image of the untouchable mob boss was beginning to fade. For the first time in years, John Gotti looked vulnerable. Inside the courtroom, the tension was constant. Gotti still carried himself with confidence, perfect suits, calm expression. But the evidence kept piling up. Tape recordings, witness testimony, financial records. Piece by piece, the prosecution was building a case the defense could not easily break, and everyone in the courtroom understood something important. This trial was different from the ones before. The most powerful mob boss in America had finally run out of luck. The courtroom fell silent. The jury stood. And then it happened. Guilty on multiple counts. John Gotti didn't explode. He didn't argue. He didn't move. Because deep down, he already knew the empire was over. The judge didn't hesitate. He didn't raise his voice. He simply read the sentence. Life, no parole. John Gotti wasn't going home. No more cameras, no more tailored suits, no more power, just steel bars, concrete walls, and time. The Teflon Don had ruled New York for years, but in the end, even the strongest empire eventually falls.